So this is it, everybody. Day one of the van build. I'm not gonna lie, I've got no idea what I'm doing. You watch all these videos on YouTube of people doing van conversions and they all seem to know exactly what they're doing. You do the insulation, you cut the windows out, you put the bed in the back, you do everything you need to do. Everybody just seems to know what they're doing, and I'm just standing here in the back of my van just thinking, what do I do? I think that the height of the cab in the front might be slightly higher than in the back, which might change things a little bit. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bulkhead out. I've got no idea how heavy that thing is. I thought maybe we could sell it as well for like a couple £100 or something, but there's people selling these on eBay for like £20 and nobody's really buying them. So I've got no idea what I'm going to do with it once I've taken it out. I thought it would be quite valuable, but it turns out it's not really worth much. We've also ordered some insulation, which I think is going to arrive tomorrow, unless there's any problems with the delivery. Hopefully it's not the same delivery company that's delivering the gate, because that still hasn't arrived. And that's been like a month now since we ordered that. But I think today, day one, I'm going to take the bulkhead out, show you guys on the computer what I'm thinking of, what we're thinking of, and yeah, just kind of try and get a bit of an idea what we're doing. So to remove this bulkhead, there's a series of bolts that are around the outside. There's a couple of rivets here, and the guy that we bought it from said that we need to drill these out, which is fine. But it should be pretty straightforward, just taking the bolts out, drilling these out, and then we've got to watch out for this, because if I pull that out, this might snap, so I might have to pull it from the bottom just to kind of get it out. I'm also hoping it's not too heavy either, because if it's really heavy, it's gonna be a bit of a nightmare, but I don't know, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Oh, I think that's gonna work. That was easier. So we've come across our very first hiccup already, 5 minutes into the job. This is a, I don't know what it is. It's like a bolt that's holding this middle bit in, but there's no way to get it off. I just watched a YouTube video as to how to remove this, and he used a disc cutter to cut a line through it and then used a screwdriver to get it out. I haven't got a disc cutter, so I'm not really too sure what I'm gonna do. I can either use a hacksaw and try and cut a groove in it so I can use a screwdriver, or maybe just try and turn it with some grips. I don't think this is gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. I've got like a baby hacksaw thing. Let's see if I can do something here. That was ridiculous. I don't understand why that is even there. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Those rivets that I was talking about at the top corner, I don't think they need to come out. I think it's just this thing. But that was ridiculous. You've got to cut a line through it, like the guy was saying, and then screwdriver. Right. Time to do the other side. Oh! So these are two floor plans that I've come up with for the inside of the van. Obviously this is like a bird's eye view. This is the one that I was going through in the last video, just walking around the van explaining it. But I don't think this is going to work, because I was planning on having kind of the driver's seat spin round and then have a third seat there, and then you can sit opposite each other and have the desk here, and it would work really well. But there's a 6-inch step between the cab in the front and the loading area in the back, and I think that gap's going to make this kind of be a bit odd and not really work very well, because the seat in the front would just be like 6 inches higher, at least 6 inches higher than the one in the back. And I also I want to try and keep the shower and the sink on the same side, because then I don't have to plumb anything across underneath the van, because that would be really difficult. So on this new plan that I created this morning, I've got the shower and the sink on the same side, and then I have got the bed flipped round to be on the left rather than the right. I'm not really too sure, I still haven't finalised this, but this is kind of a rough idea of what we're going to go for with regards to the layout. But essentially we're going to have the sleeping area in the back half of the van, so this is going to be a permanent fixed bed, which is something that we really want, and then Joss's bedroom will be directly underneath our bed, either this way round or that way round, haven't really decided yet. And then we're going to have a shower immediately on the right hand side after the sleeping area, and this is followed by the cupboard with the sink in it, and then the diesel heater and everything will be underneath that sink as well in the cupboard space. And then we're going to have a cupboard over on this left hand side. This is going to have the fridge in it, and I think this is also going to have the electrics in it. And then this red rectangle, this is actually our electric induction hob. I think that we might make this a fold up, what would you call it, like a fold up table with the hob on it, because you can fix the hob into the wood, into like the worktop. And then I was thinking, because it's an induction stove, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to just fold it down out the way, and then this creates more space here. Whereas if you had it permanent like on this one, then it just takes up a bit of space. That's what I'm kind of thinking anyway, and then we'll have access to the electrics underneath it. The brown strip next to the bed on these, whichever way around we go, this is just going to be overhead storage for clothes and everything, and then underneath that Digby's going to have his own little spot for sleeping and doing whatever, and it's just kind of a bit of a bigger space really. Maybe we'll have like a little table to put a laptop on to watch movies or something, I don't really know, but the whole back area is basically going to be a sleeping area. So we're actually planning on keeping these 3 seats in the van, for now at least anyway. We were thinking about maybe changing this one to a single and having 2 singles in the front and a third in the back, because these twin seats, generally they're not very comfortable, especially for travelling in, because you can't recline them or anything like that. They're just kind of solid, and they're not as comfortable as the driver seats. But I think we're going to keep them for now, one, because it just saves money, and secondly, on the new plan, there's just not really going to be room for a seat in the back. But what we're thinking of doing is putting a swivel base on the driver's seat that can just go, well, anywhere really. It just swivels around as much as you want. And then the bench seat, it actually only sits on the base of this seat on the left, because this one on the right, if you can see it, it just kind of floats in the air, and it just has these metal bars that attach it to the base on the left. So what we're thinking we might try is, if we put a single seat swivel base on this left one, then we might be able to spin the twin seat round, not all the way because it wouldn't work with the door and everything, but if we can spin it 90 degrees so it goes around like that, and then it'll be facing the middle of the van, and then if we get the driver's seat to do the same, spin that 90 degrees, then the 3 seats will be facing each other, and then maybe we could fix a table onto this metal step here, like a pole, and then a table between the seats, and then that can be kind of like the whole dining area, seating area kind of thing, if that makes sense. That's what we're kind of thinking of at the moment anyway. Okay, so back to the computer. I just want to show you a couple of things that we have got in mind with regards to things that we're going to put into the van. So firstly, with the roof light, we're not sure whether to go for just kind of a skylight like this that opens manually, or whether we go for like a 12 volt ceiling fan, which is essentially an extractor fan. These are obviously more expensive. I'm not too worried about running power to it, that's not really a problem. The only issue I've got with these is I can just see them getting really dirty, full of dust and debris and everything. Extractor fans always get really dirty, and I think it's going to be a nightmare to clean. And to be honest, we don't have an extractor fan in the house, so I don't really think it's necessarily essential to have one. And it would also be quite nice to get the extra light from a skylight like this. So secondly, we've got the insulation. We've actually got this in order, it should arrive tomorrow, but we've got some sound deadening sheets and then some rolls of thermo liner stuff, but I'll go through that in the next video. Fridge wise, we're not sure if we're going to put the fridge in straight away because we don't necessarily need one immediately, but we're looking at getting one similar to this, I suppose. We might not get this one, we don't really know, but this is a 130 litre fridge. Our current one in the other van, I think it's about 45 litres, and it's just really too small. Toilet wise, I think we're going to go with a Separate Tiny. So Separate is the same company that makes our toilet in the tiny house, and it works really well. And they do this smaller version which is essentially the same thing, except for it will have a liquid tank in the front rather than just a pipe going outside into our own tank. And I know this works and it's really efficient, so I think we're going to go with that. So next we've got our heating. We've decided to go for this heater. It's a combi heater, so it heats the water and the air at the same time. This is called a JP heater. It's actually coming from China because the European version of this, exactly the same, is twice the price and it's already quite expensive. So this one I think is going to cost about £1,200 to get it here with shipping and duty and everything. It's got a 10 litre water tank in it, so it will heat up 10 litres of water in around about half an hour, I think. There's only the diesel line coming in and then there's an exhaust going out. I don't have to put anything through the floor or anything like that. It should be quite easy to install. So yeah, looking forward to that arriving. Power wise, we're still not really decided on exactly what we're going to do. I'm quite drawn towards this Goal Zero Yeti. This is a 3000X, which is the 3000 watt hour battery. It's basically a unit that has everything already built inside it, so the inverters and the solar chargers and all of that stuff. You literally just plug in what you need, so you'll have like a plug, USB points. You can run a whole 12 volt circuit off of this system over here. You can charge it up with solar panels. You just plug them in, one of these two, I can't remember which one it is. You can charge it off the mains, you can charge it off the alternator in the van. It's basically just a really simple solution to providing enough power for the whole van. And I know it's £3,500 plus delivery, which is really expensive, and I'm sure I could do it for much cheaper on my own, but I think this is just going to be much simpler to do. We don't really have the space to build an entire system because Joss is going to be sleeping underneath our bed. And then I suppose if we do ever get a different van or anything, then we can just take this out and put it in the new one. Other than that, we've got water tanks, so I'm looking at getting one that is quite big. This is a 190 litre water tank, and because it's upright, this can go pretty much next to Joss's bed underneath our bed, and it will fit right up against the wheel arch. A lot of water tanks that you can get that fit underneath the van, they're just too small, so you can buy kits specifically for the van, but the freshwater tanks only ever seem to be about 60 litres or 65 litres, and to be honest that would last like a day, possibly two, with the three of us in the van. So I want to get a much bigger water tank, so I'm looking at 190 litres, and then that should do us for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days perhaps without having to refill. And I know from experience that having enough water is like gold dust. But that's a general summary of the kind of plan that we're looking at for the van, some of the things that we're looking at putting in the van. Also, as I mentioned before, we are on a budget, so spending £3,500 just on an electrical unit is basically half the budget gone, and that's not accounting for anything else, including windows or anything like that. So yeah, things may change a little bit, or like I was saying, we might have to put things back until we've saved up a bit more money, perhaps next year. So things like the fridge could probably wait. The shower, we don't necessarily need that just yet. We haven't got any long trips planned or anything. Next time we've got the installation coming, so hopefully I can make a start on that. Fingers crossed it arrives tomorrow so I can get cracking with it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. We'll catch you guys in the next one. So until then, have a safe drive, stay alive, try not to spill anything, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.